Good morning, everybody. Keith Engle here for TGI Sports Talk Sunday. Stream of consciousness. How's everybody doing? We're here, and I got a glare on my screen. I can't seem to get out of it. So we'll just have to bear with it. We're here in beautiful Mystic, Connecticut this weekend, having a family vacation, but we thought we'd come on and chat for a few minutes. Probably not 2 hours, guys, but we'll have a little fun this morning. We'll talk about the Yankees traded Jazz for Jazz Chisholm. What else might happen? We can talk about any of the Olympic stuff that's gone on so far. The Olympic basketball team thinks they can roll a basketball out on the court and win. They're not going to be able to do it. And we'll get into a few other topics as well. Let me check the comments here. Good morning, Dave Guyette. Good to have you with us. I want to welcome everybody watching this morning. And by the way, we're getting some other topics too. We got the NFL starting up. The NFL Hard Knocks with the Jets off season has been very interesting. We got some other baseball moves to talk about. I'm going to be flying in the dark a little bit because I've been a little bit out of the mainstream here this last few days, but we'll talk about whatever you guys want to talk about as we do on a Sunday morning. Welcome everybody on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Still not able to share on Twitter anymore, but we're also live on National Streaming Sports Roku channel this morning. Welcome to everybody there. Also, quick shout out to Ralph Williams at RW Media. I don't have my normal notes in front of me, so I apologize. Ralph Williams at RW Media. I got some great stuff there in Pittsburgh, especially the Sports Corner with Smoking Jim Frazier every Tuesday from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern. Catch him on Facebook, YouTube, and all the normal social media outlets. Flo at the Bottom Line Sports, John Gonzalez at the Sports Authorities, Greg Rawlings over there at America's Pastime, the Love for Baseball, some of our great groups, and all of our great groups. I mention those guys just because they're three guys that I have dealt with personally and have great regard for. Not that I don't regard all the groups that way. So, and a thanks to Jim Beringer for coming on one-on-one with Keith Engle Friday. We had a nice hockey talk, and we'll have Jim on the college football show when we relaunch in August. Some great guests coming up, by the way, on one-on-one, just so you know. Did I lose I had it stuck in here, but everything's been flying around here this weekend. This is not the right note, so I'm going to go off the cuff here. August 2nd, next Friday, we'll have Mike Bass, former Washington Redskin cornerback. The 9th, I've got Brian McRae, former standout. Let me get rid of this music. I can't even hear me. Former MLB standout outfielder. His dad was a great player, and he played for his dad in Kansas City. 16th is open right now. 23rd, Sidney Moncrief, former NBA great with the Bucks, and also a great college player with Eddie Sutton at Arkansas. And then on the 30th, Ernie DiGregorio, former Providence star, played with Marvin Bad News Barnes, big star with Buffalo, and Bob McAdoo. So we'll have them all coming on. So today, who we got with us? Good morning, JB. Which one of our teams is going to it's a battle of attrition at the top of the AL East right now. We'll talk a little bit about that. Baltimore's made a couple of moves, or at least one move, I believe, so far. The Yankees made a big trade for Jazz Chisholm yesterday. Soto and Judge hit home runs to beat the Red Sox and hold them off a little bit. Where are the standings here? Bear with me, because we are working on a tightrope today, guys. But we're going to get – I saw Anthony's comment. Anthony, you can put up your comment about the Dallas drama. Let me know what's going – oh, you're talking about probably CeeDee Lamb. So if it's more than that, let me know. Or if it's just that. Great question, though. Should the Dallas Cowboys sign CeeDee Lamb to a contract bigger than Justin Jefferson? And can they afford not to? Big question. Look at that AL East, by the way. 1 game lead now for the Orioles over the Yankees. The Red Sox holding in there at 5.5 back. All three of these teams are going to be major players in the trade market the next week. So lots of good stuff coming. Good morning, Drew. Good to have you with us. Yeah, who else is with us? CA is with us as well. CA, where are you at in the country? Traveling around in that RV today? Good question, Anthony. But if you're talking about that CD Lamb situation, it's amazing. Keeping track of all the trades to discuss. Do that because I know, and we can talk about some of them here a little bit this morning. Obviously, I talked about the Chisholm trade to the Yankees, which I like. I don't know that he's really reached his potential. He's had some issues dealing with fellow players, but I kind of think with Aaron Judge and some other guys on this Yankee team, they maybe they can harness that personality a little bit, and I think he can contribute. And whether it's in the outfield now, a little unsure at the moment. I mean, the thought was originally he might replace Gleyber Torres at second base, but if they don't move Torres, that might be next year. He can play center field. That's what he's been playing for the Marlins. He might play left field, might play right field. Who knows? I think this is a good move for the Yankees, even if you just get to some fresh energy into this lineup. They'll be getting Stanton back, but I think I'm on the record pretty strongly about how I feel about Stanton and what he contributes to this lineup. A lot of people on the Mac and Jack show a few weeks ago, Jack Hirsch lit into me saying Stanton is a force in his lineup, and I tend to disagree. And he said their slide coincided with Stanton going out. It didn't, because 13 games before Stanton went out, by my count, they were 3-10. So lots of fun stuff coming up here. It's going to be a fun pennant race, I'll tell you right now. I guess on top of Anthony as a Washington fan. That's a Redskin fan, I hope, Anthony. We've had that conversation, I think. Good morning, Alan. Good to have you with us. Hope you're doing well. Whatever's going on for you, I hope everything's okay. I saw some Facebook posts always make me go, I hope everything's okay with people. So whatever's going on with you, I hope it's something that is easily overcome. Lamb and Prescott were both sent contracts Friday. No word on what the details were. Well, I don't know that Prescott's going to sign. I wouldn't doubt Prescott gets free agency. And Jones may want to see what this season brings before he. I'm not saying he won't. That offer may not have been the best offer that the Cowboys are going to put out there. So, but CD Lamb, there is no season. Alan, you're a Cowboy fan. There is no season without CD Lamb. Who are the other guys that are going to catch 130 balls? I know there's some decent guys there, but what? Sorry, I'm watching my granddaughter play on the floor next to us. Beautiful Mystic, Connecticut. If you've never been here, it's beautiful. It's been a beautiful day at the beach yesterday. I went out to a nice dinner last night. Played some games. And who knows what today brings. The aquarium, I think, from what I heard. But, again, back to Dallas. This, to me, I don't see how they replace a talent like CD Lamb. They have no choice but to pay him. And, again, the market's what the market is. You pay the guy what the market says you pay him, or you figure out a different plan. Anthony says that why you do love the Dallas and drama. You would. You should. You know, here's the thing. I would like the team formerly known as the Redskins chances a lot more, Anthony. And I've picked them a lot the last few years with Ron Rivera head coach, even with some of the quarterback issues they've had. I liked some of the pieces that they had, the defense that they started with anyway a few years ago, which has been torn down a lot. But I do not like the Dan Quinn hiring. I'm sorry. This is a guy to me. I mean, yeah, he had some good success in the middle we will have the background music too, which is we figured out the tones. If you can hear that. What was I saying? I got distracted. Sorry. The Dan Quinn hiring. To me, boy, I'll tell you, people remember the Super Bowl and the 28-3 meltdown, but there was many, many meltdowns after that with this team in second halves, fourth quarters, in the regular season in Dan Quinn's tenure. And I think he's one of those guys who's classic case. He's a better coordinator than he is coach. That's it. With that said, Jaden Daniels, I wasn't a big fan of a lot of these quarterbacks in this draft. Not as big as a lot of people, not even the one we got. We'll find out about Daniels. I think there's still some weapons around him. I think they moved Antonio Gibson, if I'm not mistaken. But remains to be seen what can happen. I think this Eastern Division is wide open. I think the Giants make the playoffs. I'm in the minority there, but I think the Eagles. There's more going on there. This isn't over. Their drama at the end of the year last year, which I'm sure you're reveling in as well, Anthony. So there's that. Drew says Jazz will be yet another injury-ridden, underperforming addition to the Yankee pantheon. It's possible. It's quite possible. I'm all for the trade. The prospects we gave up were not, in my mind, we're not trading Spencer Jones. We're not trading Dominguez. We're not trading the top guys in this organization. They traded 3, okay prospects for a guy with a ton of talent. Has he been injury-ridden? Yes. Has he underperformed? Yes. Partly because of injury, partly maybe because of him. He's still a young guy. He brings a new energy to this team. I worry more about his personality and how he fits in his clubhouse. I think he'll perform. And in Yankee Stadium, by the way, I think 12, and you love these types of stats, Drew. I was reading an article yesterday, got into all kinds of metrics, which I'm certainly not diving into, but 12 of his 13 home runs this year were to right or right center. Remember the dimensions of Yankee Stadium, and I think he will be, again, got to be on the field to do it, and I'd like to see him hit more than 248, which I think he's capable of doing, but you're right, needs to stay on the field and needs to contribute. But right now, as inconsistent as this guy has played, I would argue putting him in the lineup today, which I'm not sure if he's in the lineup today or not, he's the third best option offensively in that lineup today. Even with his struggles. See, we got a bunch more people jumping in here. That's good. And I'm also working without a mouse today, so bear with me if I have some scrolling issues, because as you guys go ahead of me, I have trouble getting back. If I miss something, I certainly apologize. I'm not good with the mouse pad. I rarely use it. Thank you to Scarlett. Thank you to Scarlett for the musical accompaniment. We've got, babe, just so you're getting compliments, Scarlett, for the musical accompaniment. Yeah, she said thank you. Yes, she knows how good she is. Thank you, Drew. Good morning, Rick. How close to the newest jewelry shop? We don't buy jewelry in Connecticut. We just buy food and beer, which is, by the way, is becoming as expensive. Paul Spada, our Boston guy in Wisconsin. How are you? Did I bring her breakfast in my room? No, in fact, I had to get my own breakfast this morning. My wife didn't take, and I'm being threatened. I have to. No. We had a light breakfast here because we've been eating like kings, it seems. Paul Spot again. My pleasure's all mine, my friend. Mohawks playing the playoffs on Tuesday. Well, the Amsterdam Mohawks, the Perfect Pitch League team, college summer league team, which has been historically very, very good, having another very good season. I haven't gotten around to even reaching out to the GM Spagnola or the Coach Griffin. And it's probably going to be hard. I don't know. Maybe we can still get them together. We can talk about the season once it's over. I've just had a really good run with the guys I'd already had in contact. So anyway, I might join you. Is it at home? What night is it? It's tough, man. Because I get away for a weekend. I got to recuperate. I'm not a young guy like you, Kenny. And Kenny, condolences on the passing of your brother. Sorry to hear that. Much too young in my mind. I didn't know your brother Mike that well, but certainly know of him, and my condolences go to you and your family and the rest of your siblings. But and also, Kenny, I did see your message. I somehow missed it. I'll take a look at that. I don't know whether, and again, I don't know there was. We're talking about us playing golf in that tournament. And going up for the weekend. I don't know they were even free, to be quite honest. I know my wife was talking about something on the 10th. I just don't know what it was. But let me know. When I get back, we can chat. Not that far off, actually. But I wasn't sure. It sounded like we would be playing golf for a couple of days. And then whatever else. We'll look into that, though. Red Sox pick up Scraps, Jansen, Santa. Yeah, he stinks. Paxton, I was a little surprised. I don't like Paxton, by the way, Paul. James Paxton. He pitched for the Red Sox before. He gets released at 8-2, and so you got to be. I mean, I understand he's playing for the Dodgers. I believe he had a lot of run support. His ERA wasn't all that good. I'm sure some of the other peripherals that some others can throw at you would warrant his release. He was designated for assignment, and I'm sure he was traded for something, probably a bag of baseballs. But Tuesday at 6:30, it's possible. It's possible. We'll see what we can do. Sorry for the low production value today, guys. I'm doing the best I can. I guess the production value isn't as low as I think, probably, because the bar was set pretty low. Dave Guyette will be at the game, Kenny and Rick, on Tuesday. Dave Guyette, big baseball fan. We know that. Big Yankee fan. Big Buffalo fan. Phillies have essentially added Estevez, which I did see that trade this morning to replace Dominguez, who was used to gain Austin Hayes. I believe from the Orioles, if I'm not mistaken. Drew, help me out if I'm wrong there. They're now even better than they were, especially with their newest rookie, Tyler Phillips, pitching a shutout. Did he? Was that a complete game shutout? Are you serious? Come on. There's not even. That can't be right. 2 9-inning complete game victories. Dylan Cease, by the way. You know how I've ripped Major League Baseball and the way it's not just Major League Baseball, it's the teams, I guess. So it's Major League Baseball to a point. And taking guys out with a chance to pitch, no hitters and such. They let Cease throw 114 pitches, which doesn't seem like a lot. I got to find this. Did you see the meme? If you didn't see the meme I posted on Facebook, you can bring it up here and show it. If this doesn't say everything, I'm going to get to this in a second. Sorry, I got myself distracted now. And I got to find this. It's not a meme per se, but damn it, now I can't find it. We'll see. We'll get it when it comes up. Let me look. I was looking at Phelps's numbers here. Phelps, 9 innings, complete game, 105 pitches. They let him pitch 105 pitches in not his debut, but good for them. Listen, Phillies are looking better and better. Their bullpen, I think, is as good as their starting pitching. To Drew's point, they just get better, as we go along here. Here it is. Let me see if I can pull this out. There's me. Oh, I thought I changed it. Let's see if you guys can see this. Oops, go this way. Can you even read that? You can't read it. Closer? Maybe I'll read it to you. This is indicative of the way the game was played and the way the game is played today. Read it to you. Nolan Ryan's arm was so damaged by the first 5,000 innings, guys. 5,000 innings. That entire Phillies pitching staff won't pitch 5,000 innings in their career. And maybe they will, but not by a lot. He was so damaged by the first 5,000 innings of his career that he was only able to strike out 16 Blue Jays when he no-hit them at age 44. It's a cautionary tale for all young pitchers. Get your heads out of your butts, Major League Baseball, and figure out what you're doing to pitchers is actually hurting them. What you're doing to protect them is hurting them. This is not difficult. This isn't rocket science. Just look at your own history. Anyway, I'm glad the Phillies let him pitch 9 innings. And the Phillies, to Drew's point, get stronger. And I think right now they're the best team in baseball. Sorry, Yankee fans. Sorry, Oriole fans. Sorry, Dodger fans. The Phillies are the best team. Sorry, Met fans, I guess, even though they're not in contention. I don't know, Mets and Philly fans are not that compatible. Paxton 8 walks for 9 innings. There's a good stat. That one's important. I never liked this guy. He spent, I don't know, how long was he with the Yankees? A season and a half? He was terrible. I keep telling you, all of you, well, not, unfortunately, most of my audience is not young enough to have kids today. But if you're going to have kids, teach them to be left-handed. Because you can pitch forever and stink and make money. It's a singles, yes. Together on the first round, then they go by scores. All handicap, it's 135 for 3 rounds of golf. I gotta look at your message again and see where it was and all that. I haven't had a chance because I didn't see it right away. I apologize. My internet has been spotty. I hope this is all right. It seems to be okay from my side, but often it does. So I hope the feed has been good here. Outside of this house, it is not good. The coverage, if I had to do this on the cell phone with data, it's like I can't even get a signal in most places here, which with Verizon is very, very surprising. The women. For whatever reason, the term makes me laugh. I don't know why, Kenny. Where is it? What kind of shopping is my wife going to do? We'll talk more about it. 114 pitches for 9 innings is only 12 an inning. That's low. Yes, I agree. 100%, Paul. But, we're pulling guys. Remember, Skeens got pulled from a 7-inning no-hitter after he'd thrown 6 pitches the inning before. He got pulled at 99 pitches. And we got guys that are getting taken out of the game at 80 and 70 because they don't again build up arm strength so they can pitch complete games. They don't care about anything except throw as hard as you can for as long as you can. Nolan Ryan spoke out on this. Brett Saberhagen was on my show and spoke out about this. They're ruining young pitchers' arms. Brett Saberhagen threw a ton of complete games, not like Nolan Ryan, because the game had started to evolve even in the 80s when he was in early 90s when he was playing. But as a young man, I think he had a season where he completed 21 games. Guys are going to complete 10 games for their entire career. This Phillips kid, he might go another 10 years without completing a game. 114 is nothing. I talked on this show, Paul, and you may not have been following me yet because I know I brought it up last year and I brought it up this year. I believe the game happened in June 1970. I don't have the thing in my head. I want to say 1973. Nolan Ryan and Louis Tiant matched up and pitched like a 15-inning game where Ryan threw 220 pitches and Tiant pitched like 160. Imagine seeing that today. Most guys aren't throwing 220 pitches in 3 starts today, 4 starts today. You never see that stuff. Did it hurt Nolan Ryan? Nolan Ryan had some arm problems through the years, and what did he do? He pitched through them. Not the way they train guys now. At the minute they get in trouble, they look to the dugout for somebody to come and get them. I kind of go back to that Paxton. So the Red Sox want to improve because I think they can catch the Yankees, but we're bringing in guys who couldn't pitch for the Yankees, who couldn't pitch for the Blue Jays, who couldn't pitch for the Dodgers. Man, if I'm Cora, I said I asked for help. I didn't just ask for bodies. Jansen is a dog, too. Senga's entire 24 season. Yeah, right? I guess cutting bait on him was the right move for a change, Drew. I held him on my DL. Yes, sorry, DL. I know it's not politically correct, and I'm sorry. the DL for hi. I know that's not politically correct, but I apologize to all the disabled people out there. I kept him on my DL for quite some time before I dumped him. Still may dump McLean. Tupper Lake, I remember. Oh, God, it'd be beautiful up there, too. And I'll talk to my wife on the ride home Monday. Snell cased 15 and 6 innings. Seems like he's finally back from the signing holdout effects incurred by Boris. I'm not, how many do you walk in those 6 innings, by the way, Drew? You may have had a sparkling game. I don't know. I'm not. And again, I don't really know why. And I think it's my bias against Blake Snell goes back to Nissan, babe. Sorry for my distraction. It'll happen from time to time. I think my bias of Blake Snell goes back to the World Series against the Dodgers when he and again, I blame this Kevin Cash too, but he's looking basically, I'd be complaining like hell if somebody comes to take me out of the game 5 innings into a World Series start. Stupid. They need to throw, they need to stretch out, and this is why they're getting hurt. Thank you, Paul. I've only been preaching that for the 4 years I've been doing this. They don't get it. They think they're protecting their careers by not pitching. Nolan Ryan threw basically every day. When he didn't pitch, they still threw. They don't throw today. They go play golf. And how many young pitchers have we seen go down with horrendous injuries that could have been avoided if they just had stronger arms? Seems pretty simple, right? What you do here, Kenny? Watch the girls and the in-laws, and the one girl threw 150 pitches in 10 innings, and the next day another 110. So, Kenny, you got me. You boxed me into a corner here. Now, it's not obviously men versus women, but you have boxed me into a corner where the women are being allowed to throw more pitches than men. Go figure. White Sox 13-game losing streak, I believe today. Yes, my lofty standards for them. I believe that, and I didn't do the math. I don't have a computer in front of me right now, or a calculator. But I believe that is putting them back on a path for 120 losses. They were at 119. Hi. What do you got? Come over here for a second. Come here. Come here, Scarlett. Come here, Scarlett. I'm going to bring my co-host on for just a minute. Yes, Drew, they are reaching, 121 losses. So they may be on 122 loss pace right now. Come here. Come up here. Come here for a second. Come here. What? You want to say hi? You want to say hi? Yeah, lost my co-host again. She's not getting paid. None of us are getting paid here. What do you got, Paul? When you don't use it, you lose it. Throw the ball. Agreed. Speaking of Nolan Ryan, I brought this up many times with Nolan Ryan, and I brought it up with Jim Sundberg. I brought it up with Brett Saberhagen and some other guys. When Nolan Ryan was running the Rangers 15 years ago now, he tried to reverse this trend, and he had pitchers in the minor league system actually throwing complete games and throwing between starts and doing what strengthens an arm, which is throw, not sit, not get taken out of the game the first time you get in trouble, because when you get into big moments in a game, you can see the kids who have confidence. They aren't looking to the dugout for somebody to come and get them. They want to be in that moment. Nolan Ryan wanted to be in that moment. Tom Seaver wanted to be in that moment. Not now. I got that one. Thank you, Paul. Paul, thank you for clarifying that, Paul. Ran out of comments here. Really? You guys are light today. We got a nice audience, though, for being traveling here. If I didn't mention it before, we're in beautiful Mystic, Connecticut, on the ocean here. If you're not familiar with it, out west, it's a beautiful little town in Connecticut near the Rhode Island border. We're actually in Rhode Island yesterday, actually at the beach. So, Kenny, don't the pitchers in Japan throw over 100 pitches a game and then throw the next day? Yeah, well, that's what they used to do here. I mean, yes. So, and you see the Japanese pitchers here, and then they get babied. I mean, they didn't. Hideki Nomo threw tons of pitches here and was very, very good. So, again, there's a right way to do things, there's a wrong way to do things, and there's a Major League Baseball way of doing things. I'm not saying I know everything, but all I have to do is look and read and understand what the differences are and why guys are getting hurt. Now, granted, I will tell you, guys, I'm not saying guys didn't get hurt back in the days either, by the way, but they just pitched through it. They tore rotator cuffs and they pitched, back in a bit. John Gonzalez from the Sports Authorities. Good morning. I mentioned earlier, John runs one of the best groups on Facebook. Certainly been a big supporter of my shows, all of my shows, since I started doing this. And I know, Drew, you joined the Sports Authorities and are a pretty big contributor there, or a follower anyway, commenting on a lot of John's posts. But John puts a lot of stuff up, nostalgia-wise, contemporary stuff, and a lot of fun stuff. John does a great job and has got a tremendous. The group is, I don't know what the size of it is now. John, you can tell me. John's one of the great admins out there. Padres on a 7-game winning streak, 8-2 in the last 10, the hottest team in baseball. Probably with good reason. Probably good reason. Let me see who else is going hot here while we're talking about this. I love the White Sox. The White Sox are my story of the year this year. 121 losses. Let's root for that. Astros stay hot, 3-0. 3 in a row. Only 5-5 in their last 10. But that division, the Rangers won 5 in a row to get themselves close and lose 2 in a row. Crazy. Mets fading a little bit. Hold on one second. Anyway, Padres have been, notorious for being up and down. It'll be very interesting to see once they come off this winning streak, whether they continue to have any kind of consistency. Plus, they got a bunch of pitching injuries. I lost my comments again. I can't get back up there. I'll get there. Bless you. Bless you, Grandma. There we go. Here's Denny Fuller. Denny slept until 6:05 today out on the West Coast. How you doing, Danny? Good to have you with us. LeBron looked really good at soaking wet carrying the American flag the other night, didn't he? Throw that out there for Rick. What are you doing, Scarlett? Come here. Come here, give me a hug. I'm not sure. I'm sure they were in a pitch count even in high school, Rick. That's what they do. I mean, they start them early. And again, in all fairness, youth baseball always had pitch counts. When I played, we had pitch counts. I played, I coached. Come here. This is my co-host and my producer today, Miss Scarlett Maxwell. Can you say hi, Scarlett? Hello. Hi. Hi. What color is Grandma? Red. Yes, it is. All right, Scarlett, what should we talk about next? You like Rick's comment? Yes? No. Yes? All right, Rick, you're good. No, we did have pitch counts when you're kids and your arm's developing. I get that. But when your arm stops developing, let the kids throw and strengthen their arms, and maybe they won't get hurt on, $50 million contracts. Hey, John, how are you? Will John get traded? You're not getting traded, John. Will Scooble get traded? If he does, odds are he goes to Baltimore. If he gets traded, I hope he's wearing pinstripes, John. That's all I can say. I don't think the Tigers would be nuts to trade Scooble. No. What happened? You want your milk? Don't spill it on Grandpa's computer, please. Hang on one second. I'm going to you guys on mute 1 second. All right. Sorry about that, guys. You say bye-bye. They're taking a ride now. Say bye-bye, everybody. So I'm flying solo without a producer the rest of the show. All right. You guys got a special treat today. Somebody better to look at than me, which would be basically anybody. I get that. But back to Scooble. Listen, the Tigers trade Scooble. First of all, they're in the wild card race, so I don't know why they would do that. Second of all, he's a young guy. He's a huge building block. They control him for, I think, at least 2 more years. It'd be silly. With that said, John, I wouldn't be surprised if they did that. I mean, I've watched Taylor Phillips, another great podcaster, comes out of Michigan. Gosh, I'm going to screw it up, Taylor. I apologize if you see this. The Michigan Truth Podcast, I think, is the name you can find him under. They cover a lot of local Detroit news specifically, and some other stuff. But I mean, he's talked greatly about how silly the Tigers would be to trade Scooble. He's a great pitcher. I picked him to win a Cy Young Award this year, as Drew knows, and we talked about it on the preview show and then our little update show last week. Scooble is he's a really good pitcher, and they should not be looking to move him. And certainly, if they trade him, don't trade him to JB's Orioles. Trade him to New York. I can't see the Yankees getting a guy the quality of Scooble or even Miller, who now has a broken finger. I don't believe it's on his pitching hand. Drew, you might be able to help me out there. I did hear that news Friday. But I'm not giving up Spencer Jones in any trade. There's nobody available that I would trade Spencer Jones for. Maybe Vlad Guerrero, but the news is he's not going anywhere. And if he does, they're going to ask for King's ransom for him. So I don't see it happening. I know the problem. Their money per pitch goes down if they throw too much. What the hell? It's not enough getting $100K per pitch. The problem is they're not getting paid per pitch. Oh, are they getting paid per pitch? They're not getting paid per pitch. And if they did, oh God, maybe that's the answer. Maybe that's the answer. Oh, I see what you're. What I don't know if you're saying you think they should do that. Oh yeah, you are saying so. Their money per pitch. You see, this isn't, and I'm not blaming the pitchers. The pitchers are trained this way. From the time you're a little kid, which is fine. Again, to Rick's comment, yeah, when you're a kid, you should be on pitch counts. But otherwise, the kids are being trained to, you're only going to throw 90 pitches. You're only going to throw 80 pitches. You're only going to go out there and throw as hard as you can for as long as you can. And as soon as you feel gassed or you get in trouble, you look to the dugout for somebody to come to get you. We're training the kids to be like that. We're not training them to be bulldogs like Ryan and Seaver and Saberhagen, Gibson, and I'm trying to think of guys more recent. Oral Hershiser, Roy Halladay. Right? So, again, and then you're only going to incentivize the teams to pitch them less, so I don't have to pay them. When it's the teams that are really convincing them this is the way they should do this. I think a whole generation of pitchers is going to be. I've been left alone here, by the way. You think that's safe? It's not getting enough 100K per pitch. When Ken and I played, we played with concussions. You find out years later. Listen, I'm not saying the concussion issue is certainly something that people have to look at. That's not what we're talking about, though. I mean, Nolan Ryan pitched at 44, and he pitched, what did he pitch? 1 more year, 2 more years. I think he retired at 46, I think. Well over 5,000 pitches. Nolan Ryan has no lasting physical limitations because of how many pitches he threw into Major League Baseball. A little different getting hit in the head, whether it's in football, as you're likely referring to, Rick, or even baseball with home plate collisions. And I'm sure guys play with concussions, and it's not good. It will affect you later in life. We know that. The studies say that. But I'm not talking about head injuries in any way, shape, or form. I mean, keeping athletes safe is important, but babying their arms, no, not so much. But I agree with the concussion issue is certainly something that, and again, sports are sports are probably over enthusiastic in the safety in the safety area today. Safety is important. I don't get it. I mean, some games are dangerous, though, right? You play football knowing these things are possible. And if you get hurt, you continue to play. Now they know, right? Before they wouldn't even diagnose it. Sorry about my hand. I can't stop today. They don't even diagnose it today. So, I'm sorry, back in the day, they didn't even diagnose it. Today, they diagnose it if you continue to play or continue to get concussed. They're not going to let you play in most sports if they know you're concussed, obviously. But if you get multiple concussions, you continue to play, you know the risks. You can't sue the league later. Now, when they were hiding, when they were hiding some of these facts, I get it. Excuse me, Bob. Sorry about that. CA talk about his Astros red hot. I said early in the year, didn't I? Specifically, would rue the day they didn't put their foot on the throat of the Houston Astros. 3 straight, only 5-5 in their last 10, but red hot since they started 7-19. What was their start? I want to say they were 7-19. Maybe it was only 7-16, but since then they're 48 and 30 something, playing great baseball. And the Mariners, while they were hot for a bit, now they're scuffling along. They did win 2 in a row, but they're 3-7 in their last 10. They've fallen a game behind, and the Rangers are lurking 4.5 back, but can't seem to get over that 500 mark. Defending champions have struggled greatly here. John says, thanks, Keith and you're 2 great sports guys with loads of knowledge. Well, I have loads of opinions. I don't know how much knowledge I have, but I appreciate that comment. My opinions, and I got myself in trouble again here last night because, I'll make my small point on opinions and, the world stage that we're on now, and comments get made. And when they're just, again, I do that. Every single person is entitled to their opinions in sports and the world stage, not just here, but everywhere. But, sometimes people start to chat, and I just can't let my opinion just sit there. I should just learn to sit there and keep my mouth shut. But I can't. And especially when facts are misconstrued. Opinions are fine, but don't give false information. And if you're basing opinions off of false information, then all I try to do is say, did you know this? And then it turns into something I don't want it to be. Because I disagree with most of the people I talk to because I'm just a disagreeable person. Mets in the process of acquiring Jesse Winkler from the Nationals. Winkler's well, first of all, Winkler doesn't pitch, so he's not going to help the Mets as much as he should. I mean, their bats, it's funny. The Mets are doing this kind of, it feels like with smoke and mirrors, right? Their resurgence. I think Winkler would be a good pickup for them. I'm trying to think where he's going to play in the outfield, though, because he DHs. Martinez, I'm sorry, he plays the outfield and DHs, I believe. So you're not going to bench Nemo. Bader gets hurt, but to me, Bader's a better defensive player than anybody on that team, and brings something to it. And Marte gets hurt a lot. I'm not even sure what Marte's number is. Maybe he's going to play some right field. I don't know. I doubt he's going to DH with Martinez there. So he's a nice player. I've had him on my team about 20 times this year, 20 different times. Why does my phone keep telling me to sign in? Ugh. Stanley walked 2 in his win. Thank you, Drew. Was he driving the boat? I have to tell you, the whole Olympic thing is, I'm sure they had great intentions for these opening ceremonies. I thought it was a hot, wet mess, not just because it was pouring down rain. I just thought the whole thing was a mess. I didn't enjoy it. And I used to, I've been a big Olympic fan through my lifetime. But the games are so politicized now that, so politicized, so non-amateur related that it's very hard for me to get worked up and enjoy it. I mean, we watched a little bit of some volleyball yesterday. I like to watch the volleyball. I like to watch the basketball, obviously. But by the way, they're not rolling out a ball and winning because they could very easily lose to. Well, they could lose to Serbia today. They may be playing now. I don't even know. I like the track and field still. And Mac on the Mac and Jack show brought up a great point. For the first time ever, there's a wagering on Olympic events. You can go to DraftKings and wager on Olympic events. Now, what I wondered was when a track and field guy wins something and I bet on him, let's just say a guy I bet on in the 100-meter dash finishes second, and then I bet him to win. And 2 weeks later, the winner's taken down for doping. Am I going to get my money back? My guess would be no. So probably not a good idea to be betting Olympic events. If basketball did what soccer did with extra time, the Lakers games would never end. But it's one of my big problems with soccer is the fact that I don't know when the game ends. Because if I'm not mistaken, and any of you soccer fans out there can correct me. I don't know if we have anybody with us. I don't see Carlos. But when regulation ends, it's the only game I know that you don't know when it ends. Because extra time is being built up. You don't know, unless I'm missing something huge here. You don't know how much time is being added to the game. Then when you end regulation and you go into extra time, I don't believe they show you how much time is left then. They just put up extra time. And then suddenly the whistle blows and the game's over. Maybe I'm wrong. And hopefully somebody can correct me on this if I am. But I don't know. By the way, I was going to do the show outside today, but I couldn't find a plug. It's a really cool old house. I'm pretty sure it's haunted, by the way. I think people were killed and buried in the basement here. That's a different story for a different show, probably. It's an old house, very charming, great character, but there's no electrical plugs outside. It's an interesting house. But anyway, I decided to do it in here at the table. So I agree. I don't know if LeBron, by the way, you can say all you want about LeBron, but leading up to the Olympics, not that it would have mattered, these losses heading into the Olympics, but the Olympic team would have lost twice in the last 10 days, 7 to 10 days, if it wasn't for LeBron. Just saying. Bobby Witt, what a great player. I swore I wouldn't watch it. And I actually watched it later because I heard some of the home run derby was fun. So I watched it later so I could fast through stuff I didn't want to watch and not spend 3 hours watching it. I was impressed. Witt, if I'm not mistaken, it was Witt who lost at the end of the home run derby on a ball that bounced off the fence. I liked the new format, and Witt was very impressive. Some of the other young guys were impressive as well. And I think this format makes it much more challenging for them. And they need to bring the right batting practice pitcher because every pitch counts. And I like that. But Bobby Witt's one of the great young players in the sport. And to me, I like the way he plays the game. I watch too many guys who don't seem to hustle. When I've seen Bobby Witt, maybe, again, I'm not watching Bobby Witt on a nightly basis like I am the Yankees, where I feel like I can criticize guys like Trent Grisham and Gleyber Torres for their lack of hustle, their lack of just basic sense of baseball acumen, if you will. I don't get that sense from Bobby Witt or Stephen Kwan. These are guys who play the game the way it should be played, again, based on what I see. If I don't play every day, maybe I'd have a different opinion. Bobby Witt is a tremendous talent. Stephen Kwan's having a great year, too, as Drew points out here. Oh, hold on. I went too far in my comments again. Or go up with the comments. I don't remember how I did like this. Man, if you're used to working, does anybody work on a mouse pad and use, work on a laptop and use the mouse pad? I am the worst. I forgot to bring my mouse. Oh, thank you, Kenny. I'm a cutie, aren't I? Like the way I did my hair today? No, I know you're talking about my granddaughter, Scarlett, who has just left with her parents and my wife and her uncle to go somewhere. They'll be back soon. I think. I do have a car here. I'm not sure I have any keys. So she is a cutie. Listen, I'm going to be 64 in 2 weeks, a little more than 2 weeks. I'm not a kid person. Never been a kid person. This little girl has ruined my reputation because she has grandpa wrapped around her little finger. Miller broke a finger, so he might stay with Oakland. They sound reluctant to trade Rooker. Listen, I would, if I'm the A's, why trade Miller? He's your best player. They're going to hold a king's ransom for him anyway, and I'm not sure they'd be able to trade for him. The Yankees aren't trading for him because I know the A's have asked for Spencer Jones, if not Spencer Jones and Dominguez. I'm not trading either one of those guys for a closer. I had this argument with who did I have this argument with the other day? It was probably Jack. Maybe it was Mackie and Jack. I don't know. I don't remember. And it could have been two totally different people, quite frankly. I'm not trading top talent for a closer ever. These guys are so mercurial. They're really good. They're really bad. If you're a Met fan, just look at Diaz. He's good. He's bad. He's good. He's bad. Very few guys have had Mariano Rivera consistency through their careers. Even Goose Gossage would throw a stinker in there now and again, mostly later in his career. Just too, especially today, man. These guys they're really good, and then the league figures them out. Miller's a great player, great pitcher. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I believe, at least the last I looked, Drew can probably help me out here. Miller had twice as many strikeouts as he had innings pitched. But I'm not giving up a guy who's going to help me potentially. And again, I understand prospects are prospects for a reason. They haven't proved a thing. Spencer Jones could come to the major leagues and be a nothing. But right now, my opinion would be Spencer Jones is going to help the Yankees for well over a decade. I don't think Mason Miller is going to do that. Skubal leads qualifying pitchers with a 2.35 ERA. Everyone is tradable. Agreed. Yes. They're going to want that King's ransom, Drew. And if I'm the Yankees, I think the Orioles might be better positioned to trade for him, to JB's point, than the Yankees. I mean, the Orioles are obviously not the Yankees aren't win now mode. They always are. But the Orioles are definitely win now mode. And I think I still think they've got the system to trade him. I've heard, in fact, rumor, and JB, if you're still here, you might be able to help me. Drew, you might be able to help me. There were some rumors about Jackson Holliday getting traded, even up for, oh man, who was it? I'm not even on my normal browser today, so this is screwing me up too. Hold on. Plus, I'm having to type on a keyboard on the laptop, which I can't do. Man, I'm doing nothing but wine today, right? Why am I not getting there? Who was he talked about? It was a pretty good player, I thought. All right, let's see what we got here. News. I guess he's not doing very well again, huh? Who was it? I can't see it in the news here. Isn't that terrible? Jackson Holliday. Damn it. He was mentioning a Skubal trade, obviously, but that wasn't a trade I was thinking about. There was an even up trade that he was offered, and I can't seem to find it. I think the Orioles are probably in a better position to do that. I still wouldn't trade my top prospect for any of these guys. I mean, Skubal, I think, is controllable for 2 more years, so it puts a little different spin on it. But I got to be sure I can get him. Skubal only exits. This is Danny. Thanks again, Danny. For 4 key position players that play 5-6 days a week over a pitcher that only pitches 4 or 5, 6 games. Every 4 to 5. 4, 5, 6 games. Agreed. And guess who's not doing that? Me. Tigers would be foolish to trade Skubal. Don't care. As much as people want to fall in love with the 3 true outcomes, home runs, walks, and strikeouts, pitching, defense, timely hitting still wins baseball games. I'll go to my grave saying that's the way to build a team. Pitching, defense, timely hitting. One of the reasons the Yankees have not won a World Series since 2009. We don't build teams that way. Timely hitting isn't, by the way, home runs. Timely hitting is basically situational hitting, playing good fundamental baseball, and knowing, what the game situation dictates. Drew, Logan Gilbert leads the majors whip. I see he's part of that great, man. I love that Mariners starting staff. He leads the majors in whip with Sale and Skubal just behind. Listen, you're below 1. You're doing pretty goddamn good. And by the way, that's a stat that's reliable to me, right? Again, I do go off on metrics and analytics and blah, 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 which is probably what you hear when I go off on metrics and analytics. But there are some that weren't used years and years ago, like whip, that are important, I think. Like OPS, because you're combining slugging percentage and on-base percentage. You're using numbers that have always been meaningful in baseball, and not just coming up with some formula, to show how valuable somebody is. I mean, show me anything that shows me anybody is more valuable than Willie Mays to a team. I'm going to tell you you're crazy. Any of today's players, I should say. And it's Witt's 342 averages, on base percentage is only 388. At the point, though, here's the thing, though. And again, by far the smallest differential. I don't get worried about the differential. All I care about is the end result. If I can get to 388 to 400 with my batting average, great. In fact, maybe even better, because he's obviously got other numbers in that 342 portion of his 380 on base percentage. He's having more of an offensively productive. I'm talking like I sound like Kamala Harris talking right now, don't I? Oh, did I say her name wrong? Jesus, please, I'm not a racist. I promise you. I just don't know how to say her name. Drew can attest that I do not pronounce names well. What was he saying? Oh, I'm trying to get to this point. Because if I have a really high batting average in it, some guys got, let's just say another guy's got a 388 on base percentage. And the guy's, I don't know, Joey Gallo. Joey Gallo always had high base percentages. I want my guys who can swing the bat to swing the bat, not walk. Right? So you have to factor that in. Joey Gallo having a high on base percentage is not nearly as productive as, say, Luis Ariza, I don't think, in my mind. Joey Gallo need to be swinging the bat, driving in runs. Ariza's job is just to get on base. Witt's job is to drive in runs. So you have to expand your strike zone in certain situations. So there's reasons that on base percentage could be driven down. 388 is still pretty good compared to the league average of 338 or whatever it is. So in a lot of cases, I'm more impressed with the guy who, with the high batting average, who is open. If his on base percentage was 350, I would say that's horrible. But again, remember, when you're not walking, and again, strikeouts, if he's striking out, some of it is because he's got to expand the strike zone. And I'm really trying not to be double talking here where I say strikeouts, you shouldn't strike out in certain situations and whatnot. And again, not having watched Bobby Witt's every at bat, I don't know. Just in general, I think the guy with the higher batting average and a small differential between his batting average and his on base percentage is probably better. Depending what that is. If it's 240 and his on base percentage is 250, or 270, like Giancarlo Stanton, there's a great example of a guy who, to me, is just not being nearly as productive as he could be. Anyway, why did I say this? By the smallest differential, which we just talked about, doesn't walk very much, which may or may not eventually lead to a drop in average. I want my better hitters swinging the bat. So them, I want to expand the strike zone when it warrants it, right? If I'm down 1 run, or if I'm down 2 runs, and Bobby Witt's leading off the 9th inning, well, then maybe I want to take a walk, depending on who's hitting behind him, of course, because that 1 run doesn't mean a thing. But if I'm down 1 run and he's up in the 9th inning, I don't necessarily want him walking. I want him to do whatever he can to get on base, but I want him to hit a home run. Again, it's all about situations, and we take, and not necessarily here, because I do know the point you're trying to get at, Drew. I do understand it. But we take all these numbers, and I'm guilty of the same thing, right? We look at them in generality, and we think that what matters to me is what's he doing late inning situations. That's more important to me than this. And we want to talk about analytics. What's the guy doing in late inning situations? What's he do with 2 outs and a man on second and third? I don't want him walking, right? If Bobby Witt's up with the game on the line, a man on second and third, and 2 outs, if he's not expanding his strike zone, if he walks on marginal pitches, I want him swinging ahead. guys getting paid to drive in runs. Sorry, I muted my mic. Hope it wasn't muted too long. What was I saying? Oh, if I go too far in this argument, well, then I'm going to sound like I'm contradicting my, three true outcomes thing. Or I'm contradicting my opinion on Giancarlo Stanton, that is low batting average and low on base percentage is not as detrimental to the team as I think it is. So, and it's a very convoluted way of explaining myself, but I had a lot of alcohol yesterday. Still at 12 in our. Here's the thing that I don't understand, CA. So I shared this to my personal page. I shared this, and anybody who was in last year, make sure you've gotten in this year. Because CA, I'm not sure how we know, even the 12 that were in last year, because they're listed there. And we had this conversation a couple weeks ago or a week ago. I'm not sure how we know that they've re-upped. Right? Because it shows the 12 we had last year. So it'd be better if they just cleared it. And maybe we could have done that. I don't know. I don't want you to do it now because I don't know who registered. But do we know? Do we have a way to tell? You got the admin rights here. Do you have a way to tell whether people have come in and re-registered for this year? So get in there, guys. Get in the Yahoo Fantasy Football League. We had a lot of fun last year. We'll have some fun this year. I'll also put the pick'em up here in a week or two, too. So we'll do the pick'ems as well. And you guys can tell me if you don't want to do point spreads. I'm going to take the, even though I like point spreads, just because I'm a gambler. Although I don't always gamble just point spreads. I can bet money lines, right? Bet more money than you would if the had to win by the spread. But I'll go either way with the pick'em this year. If you guys want to do, I don't remember what we did last year. I know a couple of years we've done with the spreads, a couple of years without. We could do confidence points if you want, which would be no spreads, and you also rate your teams based on, your confidence in them winning. But anyway, get in that and CA. Let me know about how we know if everybody's actually Chris F. Grave, if everybody's actually in there. Danny, Chris, I know you guys haven't been in our fantasy football league or our pick'em league, which will have both. I'll put the pick'em up here in a couple of weeks. Hopefully you get in and join us. We'll have some fun. Happy birthday to Bob Malicki. He pitched with the Blue Jays, didn't he, Chris? But happy birthday. He pitched for quite a while. I think he pitched with you. I want to say he pitched with you. Here, I'm going to take a guess. I'm Bob Malicki. And I don't have all my normal tools in front of me to fact check myself. I'm going to say Bob Malicki pitched at least with the Orioles, the Astros, and the Blue Jays. And Chris, I mentioned on a Friday show, and I'll mention it here. We didn't get a chance to do. I was going to do an MLB update. I had all my notes. Here and everything ready to go. I had some good stuff, which maybe I'll take a look at here. But one thing I had written down here was kudos to Chris F. Grave. I know that I've spent time. I tasked Chris with going out and finding some off the beaten path information, and he's brought it to the table. He's done a great job. And some of that has been like guys trying to get back to the major league stats in the Mexican League and the Independent League, specifically the Long Island Ducks. And sometimes I'll put it up and I'll laugh. And again, I don't want to offend Chris because I just laugh. When I find stuff funny, I laugh. Sometimes it's appropriate. Sometimes it's not. It's just me, because to me, funny is always funny. And I often believe it makes me laugh, and I think everybody else is laughing. So I don't want him to think that I don't think that information is important. But in all fairness to Chris, 2 weeks ago on the MLB update, he pointed out Jackie Bradley Jr.'s contributions or numbers to date with the Long Island Ducks. And I know I kind of mocked it a little bit, like I did the Mexican League. I couldn't play for the Long Island Ducks today. There was a time I might have, been able to be a bench player. I don't know, when I was 20. Because don't look at me now, but I really could pick it a little bit when I was a kid and stick it. Which now people just tell me to stick it. But Chris had this, Jackie Bradley was having a good year with the Ducks. And listen, independent league baseball is not bad. I go up and watch it at the Joe 2 times a summer. They used to be affiliated of the Astros, the Tri-City Valley Cats. Used to be affiliated with the Astros for like 2 decades, but they fell part of contraction of the minor leagues a few years ago. They play in league baseball. It's really good. Not at the level of the Ducks or even higher. Sparky Lyle managed that team for a long time. I don't know if he's still out there or not. I doubt it. But Jackie Bradley Jr. is a long way to get to where I'm going here. Sorry, guys. This is the Stream of Consciousness show, after all. Jackie Bradley Jr. got signed by the Mets recently. Now, it'll be interesting to see what he does. I mean, Jackie Bradley's, and again, here's one of the reasons, like, if I dismiss or seem dismissive of stats from the Mexican League or the Long Island Duck, it kind of depends on what the guy's been doing or contributing, why he's not in Major League Baseball. And Jackie Bradley's last 4 years in the majors were awful. I mean, awful. And you're not normally going to come back after that period of time. But, who knows? Maybe he contributes, or maybe they sign or they trade for the guy we were talking about before, Winker, and he gets cut. But anyway, kudos to Chris, who pointed out a guy who was flying under the radar and apparently wasn't under everybody's radar because the Mets signed him. Anyway, and thank you for the birthdays. We like the birthdays, Chris. Something else came up, Chris. We were talking about somebody you thought played for. Somebody got come up on the show. Brian McRae. Did we ever check that out? You thought he played with the Blue Jays, right? And I think I said no, and I never looked it up. Let me check it out. I'm really looking forward to talking to Brian McRae, by the way. That was a great player. And so was Brian. Not a great player. He was a really, really good player. If I can spell his name. Brian McRae. There it is. Where did Brian McRae? We'll just go to Wikipedia. Forget Baseball Reference because I don't have my favorites here. You're not going to tell me, you little bastards. Excuse my French. Bastards isn't French. Did we determine whether that was? It sounds French. Somebody help me out with that. Would bastard be French? I'm trying to get myself banned here. You can't get banned for swearing on Facebook, I think. You can only get banned for expressing something Facebook doesn't agree with. As some of you know. I take it back. I stand corrected. His last team was the Toronto Blue Jays. 100 plate appearances. Brian McRae had some pretty good seasons in the major leagues. Looking forward to talking to him. So good job there too, Chris. I got to stop doubting my viewers. I got to tell you, my viewers are the most intelligent sports people for the most part. Some aren't with us as much anymore. I won't mention any names. Out here, I have the most intelligent, and believe me, I got to tell you something. I guest on a lot of shows. And I've done a lot with Mac and Jack. And I got to tell you, some of the questions that come through, I know sometimes we go back and forth, and I feel like you probably feel like I'm being dismissive of you, and I guess, quite frankly, maybe I am sometimes, and I don't necessarily mean to be. It's just my know-it-all approach. But since I've been going on Mac and Jack, and since Mac had got banned from Facebook, the Northeast streaming sports show, the national streaming sports show now, and I couldn't use the intro. We've got a new intro that we'll use from them going forward, but it's not on this computer. I saved it to StreamYard, my videos, but it's not here when I logged in on my work computer. So we'll get back to using that. But since he hasn't been, he got blocked somehow. I have a theory, because these bots that are attacking me daily on Let's Talk. I'm not Let's Talk. What's the name of my shows? Jesus Christ. TGI Sports Talk. 15 times a day. Your account's about to be shut down. Your account's about to be shut down. You've violated this. You've violated that. You've done this. Well, they've been threatening. They've been saying I'm 24 hours from being shut down for about, 6 months. And these things just keep piling in. I can't stop them. All they're trying to do is get me to click on a link to stop that from happening. My theory is he might have been getting these barrages and he clicked on it and now he lost his page altogether. Somebody else controls that page. I can't get to it. In any event, another long story, short story. This is a story that should have been much shorter. Since I started, when I go on I guess, and I'm on National Streaming Sports Show on Wednesday nights before the college football huddle. I'm on Friday mornings from 8 to 8:30 before I do the one-on-one show. I'm on Sunday mornings and then various times. Well, since I started sharing the show stream, when I go in the show, that's why you see it on my page. I can share that stream to any of my outlets that I stream to. The questions on the show have gotten much more, much smarter, if you will. The comments and the questions, because they're coming from you guys. I'm not sure that I recognize. I'm not sure anybody else does. Long story. Keeps babbling a lot today. We're not going past 10:30 today, by the way, guys. I may wrap it up a little sooner if I see them come back because we got to get to the aquarium. I'd rather go to the beach bar. Kidding. Astros and Mariners. Astros and Padres lead the majors in batting average, 263. That's not bad today, right? Mariners leading the ERA. I told you I love that Mariners pitching staff. Winker. Jesse Winker? Who the hell's Wink? Who the hell's Jesse Winker? Or is that the guy we're talking about? It's Winkler's cousin, the Fawn. Winkler, because I got it wrong, Kenny. As usual, I put an extra letter in there. I'm either putting letters in or leaving them out. I mean, it's whatever. I know what the extra time's for, Kenny. What I don't know is why don't they tell me as extra time is being accrued during the course of the game, right? I mean, they never tell us when regulation's over, there's going to be 6 minutes of extra time, 5 minutes and 44 seconds of extra time, an hour and 12 minutes of I know that's not going to happen. They never tell you how much is being accrued. And then when it starts, when they end of regulation, it now says, so I count down to 0. And now it says extra time. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think it gives me how much time is there. At least, and quite frankly, I haven't watched a soccer game in about 6 years, so I could be wrong. Our soccer fan retired from the show. I don't know. Carlos has got a lot of other stuff going on. I'm hoping you didn't take offense to the fact that I ended our show on Fridays. I just felt it had run its course, and I wanted to get back to my roots, which was doing the interview shows, which I enjoy doing. So hopefully it's not because of that he doesn't come in. This is where Carlos started his, and we all got to know Carlos with his somewhat offbeat take on the world of sports. I'm trying to be kind. Oh God. So good point. Anyway, I hope he doesn't take offense to that because I've enjoyed. By the way, since I got back to the one-on-ones, I love it. I love it, and the views are through the roof. We've had as many as 12,000 views for Tim Worley. That's just on TGI Sports Talks Facebook page. That's not my personal page. That's not Twitter. That's not YouTube. YouTube, I don't get a lot of views, but so it's closer to 20. And all of the interview shows have been, 4, 5, 6,000. Just tremendous. And I expect the shows we have coming up to do very, very well. So nothing personal. I got pushed. Rick had been pushing me to get back to doing one-on-one since about the week I stopped them. And Chris F. Grave is when he started following us. I won't get into all the details just to protect the innocent. He also encouraged me to go back that way and brought a few guests my way, which got me the juices flowing for me to bust my hump. Because you guys have no idea how hard it is to get these guys to get on the show. No idea the number of personal messages, the number of, times I give them my phone number and sometimes talk to them on the phone multiple times. You'd think this was, a high summit meeting or something. But anyway, Kenny says they do tell you, I guess. So I apologize to my confusion. I'm sure and maybe it's something they added. I know I watch tennis. Maybe that's the problem. I'm watching tennis and I'm thinking it's soccer. Where's the time? I remember watching hockey. I'm going to drop an F-bomb here in a second on myself. I know I have watched soccer and it said extra time and they didn't tell me how much time. But I'm not doubting that they do that now because, quite frankly, I haven't watched a soccer game in 5 years at least. Maybe 6. Rick, the same goal had a hit against Snow. Right? Attending college football games does not include playing in them. And the hit against Nolan Ryan was, I'm pretty sure he was sound asleep. There's haunted and there's active. Haunted is doors opening and closing, plates flying across the room. No plates flying across the room. Active is more or less feeling a presence. Well, there's definitely a presence here, and there are some things moved around. I'm sure of that. There's also a basement that is locking something in. The basement door is literally locked, and it could be just personal items down there they're protecting, I suppose. But to me, it looks like it's locked to keep people coming up the stairs, not going down. I can unlock it. I can go down there, but there's like 6 deadbolts on this freaking thing. So there's nothing flying around, but there are things out of place. I straightened out some pictures here. Every picture in a place. I've seen the Amityville Horror. Every picture in this place was crooked when I got here Friday. I straightened them all out because stuff like that drives me crazy. I start to wonk out when I see things, not straight. There's a blind. I'm sitting in my chair watching TV. One of the blinds is crooked across the room. I got to get up and move it. I just can't function. So there's definitely, and so the next day, all the pictures were crooked again. I heard Marley's chains scraping during the night. Plus, it's an old house. It's like 150 years old, 160 years old or something. I don't know. Look at there's a post. Maybe it's not that old. I think when the house was built was on it, I think. It's a historical building. I mean, it could be Lizzie Borden killed her parents here. I don't know. Anyway. I'm starting to have a little internet. I see my internet thing come on, so if we have any issues, let me know. Head hurts. Looks like it's gone now. Probably had just a hiccup. The internet here has been pretty good. I didn't see any of you say there's been anything wrong with the feed today, so I'm going to assume it's pretty good. What was I getting at? Oh, the reception down here for your phone is awful. I have Verizon and pay through the nose for Verizon because of the coverage. Get a lot cheaper than what I pay Verizon, believe me. But you got to have reliable service. Party at my house? Yeah, today about 1 o'clock, Rick. Make sure you lock up when you're done. Please put all the booze away. Put the garbage and recyclables where they belong. Thank you. Fantasy, Rick is leading in his matchup 13-6, but his hitting categories are still up in the air. Pitching seems locked up. Keith and I are locked up 9-9 and 9-8, respectively. I had a good showing last week, and I was hoping to start wrapping off some 10-win weeks. I need a bunch of 7, 8, 9, 10-win weeks to have any chance of getting back in this chase for the playoffs. Last year it happened, and I just didn't have time. Will they bring your granddaughter to the jewelry shop? You better keep it short. No jewelry shopping in Connecticut. That's for the Caribbean. Because you buy things there a lot cheaper than you buy them here, and then you have them appraised here, and they're worth a lot more money. So yes, and she doesn't know what she'd just as soon carry a rock around and wear a necklace today. So, John Gondal, Holiday is. I was just looking now. Holidays. He's in the Scooble trade rumors. Obviously, it was something that struck me as an interesting scenario, and I heard it or saw it coming down here Friday morning. It was a straight up deal for somebody, and I want to say they were in the National League, but it's just I couldn't find it quickly. So, but listen, I still think Jackson Holiday is one of the better prospects in baseball. I thought I was watching Jesus today with the bright halo. Yes, well, let me get over here. I have a charmed life. As you can see, it's shining through with me. I apologize for the light. I was going to go outside, but I didn't have a core out there. And I was afraid I'd run out of juice between being on the Mac and Jack show at 8 and this show. It's my work computer. It's always plugged in. The few times I've had it off of the charge, 2 hours would be a lot. It is bright, right? Sorry about that. But we're in beautiful downtown Mystic. I thought the Mets brought him up. Homer's in his first 2 games in Syracuse. Good information. And quite frankly, likely better competition than what they're playing in Long Island. I thought they signed him to the Major League roster. I don't know why I thought that. I must have read that article too quickly. Instead of Jazz, the Yankees should have gone after Scott. Who? Scott. What Scott? By the way, I like Jazz a little bit. As Drew mentioned earlier, injury prone, hasn't necessarily met his prospects, his potential. Excuse me. But I like the trade. I thought they were going to get the relief pitcher back in this trade is what the Yankees were trying to do. I think they're still trying to make that trade happen. I've been much happier with this. I'm trying to come up with the Scott you're talking about, and I'm having a hard time getting there. John, help me out this morning. The fog hasn't lifted yet. The hour. Listen, I'll say a little prayer before we leave. Believe me, guys, if you're relying on me to help you get to heaven, I'm praying for my wife to say a good word for me. Why am I having trouble with Scott? What's going on? I totally lost my brain here or what? Is it a bullwhip? I'm losing control here quickly. There's talk of Conforto heading back to the Mets. I don't think they're going to pick up Winker. That's probably an unfortunate name, isn't it? I mean, he must have got tortured as a kid, maybe. You think they'll pick up both Conforto and the Mets, will the Mets pick up both Conforto and Winker? I doubt it. Oh, there you go. Boy, I liked Michael Conforto at one point. There was a time when he was a free agent the first time, it didn't sign, if you remember. I was in favor of the Yankees signing Conforto. I just loved his swing when he came up, but I don't know what happened to this kid. Probably fell in love with a long ball. I don't know. Orioles are interested in Blake Snell. That would be, again, I'm not a huge Blake Snell fan, as Drew can attest, and most of you probably can. But that would be a feather in the Orioles' cap. But I would not be trading major assets for Blake Snell. I just wouldn't do it. That's a harder one. He's had a decent year, low batting average. He's an average major league fielder, I would say, from what I can gather. Power numbers aren't outrageous. He is a dead pull hitter. Maybe the Yankees approach is a little bit different from a batting perspective. They do try certain guys. They try to teach to move the ball around the field. Would he be an upgrade over what we have now? Absolutely. So again, I would trade for him, but nothing more than middling prospects. This kid, he doesn't have a great track record, a long track record, I should say, in fairness to him. And again, the thing I always worry about, whether it's Chisholm, whether it's Scoble, whether it's Paredes, how do they deal with playing in this microscope, under this microscope? How? Jack Hirsch likes to discount, and so does Mac, I think, to a certain extent. They think anybody can come here and play. And they'll point out these guys that have come here and played well, like Cone and David Justice. Look, I never said guys couldn't come here and play. Some guys are not equipped to come here and play. Joey Gallo was not equipped to come here and play. Phelps, back in the day, they traded Jay Buhner for. Steve Trout, Ed Whitson. The Fat Toad from Japan. Irabu. I can go on and on. Sonny Gray, more recently. There are a lot of guys who are not equipped to play here. They play great somewhere else. They come here. They stink. They go somewhere else. They're good again. Now, so I take that into account, too, with anybody we're talking about. And the Yankees have to have a better feel for their, for the mental state of these guys and what it's going to be like for them under this microscope. Because there's no place, it's not like it here is here. Even Philadelphia, Chicago, Boston, L.A., it's not the same thing as playing in New York. I'm sorry, it's not. Because you don't play well here, they put nails in your driveway. Ask Ed Whitson. Ed Whitson's a great example. Ed Whitson, Lou Piniella started pitching Ed Whitson only on the road. But anyway, back to your question. He'd be an upgrade over anybody we have now. Third base is an absolute hole. Torres is an absolute hole. Had a big hit yesterday. Big deal. We've seen the best we're going to see of Glaber, and that was a long time ago. And his total upside now is what you saw last year, which was not that good. You get some power, but you're going to get defensive lapses. You're going to get him taking his fielding woes to the plate and his hitting woes to the field. Him not understanding situational baseball whatsoever. Running, again, I say this all the time, only half joking that his base running strategy is a run until you get tagged. Great move again. Maybe. I don't think the Rays would be adverse to trading within the division, Drew, but the Yankees might be. I'd be in favor of the move for middling prospects. I'm not giving up any top talent. So again, this kid thriving in Tampa is a whole lot different than surviving in New York. That said, he's a big upgrade over DJ, who they're going to keep playing pairs. He's a big upgrade over Gonzalez. Or Cabrera. He's a big upgrade over Glaber. As is Jazz, by the way, Drew. I mean, again, we talk about. I would say that their numbers are very similar, and I'm not sure why we would think this is a great trade, but the Chisholm trade is not even a good trade. I know you didn't say it wasn't a good trade. It's a gamble, and I'll agree it's a gamble. But I would say the trade for either one of these guys is probably on the same level. And Chisholm has a whole lot more upside than Paredes, in this man's opinion. That's all. It does say here, what say you? Right here, what say you? So, yeah, not being dismissive. I'm just stating the facts as I see them. Again, if I don't have to give up much, yeah, I'll make this trade. So Danny's always in through Fantasy League. So go to TGI Sports Talk. Just scroll down the page. I'll repost it again this week later. But click on the link there. Right now it's just the Fantasy League. And make sure, guys, once I have both things up there, the Fantasy Football League and the Pick'em League, make sure you're getting in the one you want to be in. Or both. Get in both. Right? And we had a lot of fun. So please do that, Danny. I'm glad to hear that. Chris is the man. Chris is our main Toronto correspondent. Actually, our only Toronto correspondent, quite frankly. Does not make him any less valuable contributor to the show. You guys are all great contributors. I have and here's the thing that really excites me, by the way. We've gone over now the 2,200 maybe followers. Maybe it's 21. But we don't have 2,100 people coming in here to contribute. We have, again, thousands of people watching the show in any given week, which is awesome. I love that. But to me, especially this show, all my shows, the one-on-one shows to a lesser extent, but we always go to your comments. But the College Football Huddle and this show, the Major League Baseball update, that's why I don't bring on people to be co-hosts, and people want to come on. And it's not that I don't think they're be valuable contributors. I'm going to leave this up here for a second. It's not that I think that they wouldn't be valuable contributors to co-host a show or come on for certain segments. You guys are my co-hosts. I do this differently than a lot of other guys, a lot differently than Mac and Jack, a lot differently than some of the other shows. Great shows, by the way, on National Streaming Sports, on Let's Talk Sports, where we've had a great presence over the years. And DDH, thumbs up. Almost forgot that today. But we do this different. You guys drive the show. I don't want to have a bunch of talking heads. I want to have you to be the talking heads and me just tell you you're wrong. Just kidding. That's what I've kind of modeled this as. And without you guys, there wouldn't be a show. There'd be me here talking for 2 hours and getting 60 views. But so Chris, you are the man, and you're all the man, all you guys. Kenny played with the Amsterdam Knights in the semi-pro league. I didn't catch. Sucked in the outfield. The Amsterdam Knights. I don't remember them. That must have been. Did you play with us? I don't know if you did play with us when Mark Jackson put the team together. We used to do some barnstorming through New York State. We played the Schaff's team, and you probably played the Schaff's, probably Kenny, if you were playing semi-pro back in your day. The Schaff's are older than you. Most of them. They're older than me for sure. Out in St. Johnsville, we go out to Watertown. We played double headers in different areas, and we had a lot of fun doing it. We weren't very good because it was just a bunch of guys who hadn't played in a while playing ball. That's when we started playing fast pitch at the end of that. I don't remember the Amsterdam Knights, though. Gosh, did you play at Shuttleworth? Because Shuttleworth was a dump then. Beautiful ballpark now. Don't you wish you were playing semi-pro on that field now, Kenny? CA, I think the system works that we're automatically registered again. If everyone gets an email unless we've individually turned notifications off. That's what I'm concerned about, though, is if they don't get the email or they don't go in. Like Kenny, I think, was in the league, but I don't know that Kenny wants to participate because I don't know that Kenny knew he was getting in a fantasy league last year. I'm not, no offense, Kenny. I just remember a conversation where you were confused what you needed to do. And if people aren't coming back, I'll just use Kenny as a reference point. Kenny may very well be back, and we hope you are. I don't know that those guys have decided to come back because they're not all here participating, right? Scott Koch, I would expect to be back. Carlos, I don't know what Carlos is going to do. We had a guy that filled the league with our last spot, if you remember, CA. I still don't know who he is. I don't even know if he participated last year or just went on autopilot. So that's what I was getting at. And I guess we don't need to worry about it because I know we can go to I know we can increase the number of teams we can have, but what I'm worried about is we're going to get to the draft and we're going to have 4 or 5 teams that are not have nobody actively picking for them or making moves for them, which will kind of cause some havoc. So there's Flo for the Bottom Line Sports. I mentioned them at the top of the show. Flo, I've tried to mention you, and I mentioned the great John Gonzalez, who's with us today as well. And since you have been a huge supporter, allowing me to share my content, and I tried to share yours. Feel free, Flo, by the way, to share it to me. I think if you try to share it to my timeline on TGI Sports Talk, I'll get a notification. I'm happy to share your show. You guys do a great job over there as well. So this is Flo in the Bottom Line Sports that I mentioned at the top of the shows almost every week now. I got in the habit of mentioning the 3 people that I mentioned because they've been very supportive of me. Not that the other groups haven't, but more so than others. And Flo is one of them. So Flo says, I believe they only play longer during soccer knockout round when there is a tie. 2 15-minute halves plus extra time equals out of bounds, and injury time added up. Refs keep that time. How come they don't tell us, though? And Kenny, so I'm not sure. I understand what you're saying, Flo. Now, Kenny says, and this came up because I thought number one, and I'm sure number one, as time is building up, extra time, I don't know what it's going to be. So when the regulation ends, I don't know that there's 2 extra minutes, 5 extra minutes, 7 minutes and 1 second. And then I also said that they didn't display it. They only said extra time. Kenny did say they display it. So that's kind of where I was. I mean, that'd be great if they played basketball that way, right? All of a sudden the horn just blows. Winker trade completed for Mets number 17 prospect Tyler Stewart, right-hand starter. All right. I'm interested where Winker fits. Again, I think their outfield is pretty complete. I haven't looked at their numbers recently, but Well, let's take a quick look. What time is it getting to be? I do want to get off here. It's 10:30 today, guys, and not go long just because they'll be back, and I'll be being dragged off to the aquarium, which it'll be fun to see my granddaughter's face. But they had her in an aquarium locally for a while. Let me look at I want to look at the Mets real quick in this Winker trade. We'll get back to your comments in just a second, so don't go away. We may have some advertising starting, guys, which we'll start running some spots for in the middle of the shows, too, so don't get nervous if you see us disappear at some point. Let's look at the stats for the Mets outfielders, which is where he's going to play, right? Nemo. He's not playing in place of Nemo, who, granted, is only hitting 235. I get that. But Nemo's still a productive player. He's got 63 RBIs. And his OPS is 775. There's a good example, I guess, Drew. He's got 120 differential between his batting average and his on-base percentage. Too bad he can't play second base. Bader's played pretty well when he's played. He's had injury issues, of course. I like Bader's defense a lot. I like the energy he brings to the field. And Marte's at 278. I don't see where he's an upgrade over any of those guys. I got to believe he's going to play off the bench. I mean, don't you, Drew? Or anybody else? Jesse Winker, nice player. Google says it comes from the Latin word bastum, which could have Germanic and French ties as well. Sweet. We learned something new. See, I have learned that the F word is not French, which I often have said, excuse my French. I've said some other words that I say, excuse my French. But then when I said bastard this morning, excuse my French again, it sounded French to me. I don't know why. Maybe because, we got the Olympics going on. I got to tell you, though. Is that a hot mess over there? Is that a hot mess? Is NBC's coverage, again, I didn't watch a lot. We turned it on for a little bit last night before we played a game. This opening ceremonies a little bit that I watched looked like a hot mess and just a lot. Listen, whatever your views of the world are, some very questionable choices. I just don't get it. Where was I going with it? Oh, I guess I was just talking about France in general because to me that's where my train of thought was. Do they see beer? Or maybe they sell beer, hopefully. If I see beer, I'm having one. No, I do not think they sell. I don't think they do. But there's a very nice restaurant where I could probably just excuse myself, walk across the street, and sit at this outside bar and have a nice cocktail while I wait for him to finish up with the sea lions. She'll probably be riding them. There's a big line there, man, too. I might have to take a beer with me. There's no beer left here. They want more beer today. We're out of here first thing tomorrow morning because I got to get back home for some meetings tomorrow afternoon. I don't know how much more. I brought a lot of beer with me Friday, and we drank all of it. And three of us, including the baby, are not drinking much. Not me. Two of the people here drink very little. At least the beer and Mike's. Kenny, I left my arm out of the socket. Oh, I left after my arm came out of the socket with the throw to third. That'll do it. That'll end your outfield career after a while. Kenny, you played first base, I know, when we played in the City Night League. So far, the only trade involving MLB players has been Austin Hayes for Dominguez, we talked about early. Pache. And Pache. All the others involved MLBers involving both sides involving. Yeah, you're looking. That's what the trade deadlines become for the most part. Sell. Who's selling? Oh, you're talking about beer again. I knew what you meant, Dave. Here's the thing. I talk exactly like a lot of you guys write. So my wife has learned to speak Keith. The broadcasters give the estimated extra time when do they? Maybe I gotta turn the sound on. Then the head referee makes the call. They'll call it around the time they think, unless action is going on for a game changing a goal. It's absurd. It is kind of nuts, right? So what I'm gathering is there are no rules. We just make it up as we go along. Good morning. Gosh, yes, I just talked about the opening ceremony, Billy, and I thought it was literally and figuratively a hot mess. And some stuff that I just don't understand. And maybe it's just me. I don't know. This is a place we should. Oh, you were talking about Tanner Scott. All right, we're talking about the same guy. I got Tanner in my head. Thank you, Drew. John, now we know who I'm talking about, or you're talking about. Tanner Scott. Thank you. That's the guy I thought they were going to bring in with the. They're still working on that trade, from what I understand this morning. So this. Whoops! I talked about USA basketball. They're starting at 10 a.m. They do play Serbia today, and Jokic, right? I believe plays. Is it Jokic plays for them, or is it? I think Jokic plays for them. They beat them a couple of weeks ago, I think, by 16 or 18 points, or last week, I should say. After they had the two close calls, actually three close calls. They only beat Australia by 8. They beat South Sudan, who I'm pretty sure anybody in this commenting today could probably at least sit on their bench, by 1. And LeBron saved them with a last-minute basket. And then LeBron pretty much saved them against the Germans, where they won by a couple. Then they beat Serbia by 16 or so. Now, maybe they get it together. Steve Kerr's a really good coach. Okay, if you want to trade people and get something good, then trade Judge and his contract for 10 guys. Stop it, Kenny. You're not going to get me to react to that. First of all, nobody's trading for his contract and trading 10 guys. Second of all, we signed him to that contract. He's the best player in baseball at the moment. Sorry, Danny. Ohtani is a designated hitter, and until he starts pitching again, there's not even a question here. Aaron Judge is the best player in baseball. And he's not going anywhere because he's the franchise. He's worth so much more than the money he's getting paid on a yearly basis to play baseball. I mean, it's astronomical. They'll make their money back on that contract 1,000-fold over the next 2 decades. Guaranteed. We don't have time to get into that argument either. Can't see the Orioles going for Snell. They probably have to give up too much. They don't need to give up their prospects for yet another starter who becomes a free agent at the end of the year, and have to negotiate with Scott Boras on top of it. But again, when you're in win now mode, and the Orioles are, you do a lot of weird things. So who in here is in win now today and trade futures or hope for the future? Tigers have no chance with what they have for the next 5 years. They got a chance at the wild card this year. They've got some decent players. I mean, Torkelson they had to send back to the minors, but he's had a couple of decent years. Colt Keith, I think, is starting to come around and play pretty well. You got to start somewhere. You got to start building a team somewhere. And again, you're not wrong, Danny. They're not. Do I think they're a World Series contender even if they make the playoffs? No. But I wasn't talking about them as in today at win now. But you can't continue to trade your future year after year, which a lot of these teams do. Right? You don't make any headway. You just stay where you are. Even if you make progress, and then you trade the people that built some of that progress or were part of that progress, you end up going backwards or just staying in the same place. Tiger's going to do what Angelette did with Ohtani, get nothing. Well, they'd have him for 2 more years. Listen, again, not following the Tigers day to day, but watching Taylor Phillips' show and some other stuff, getting some input. I mean, this team was my surprise team in the American League this year. Season's not over. There's a couple players I like there. There's another kid in the outfield. His name's maybe Jennings. What's his name? Very few teams are willing to decimate their minor leagues to win now. Well, the Yankees are. Dodgers are. As Drew said. Given their histories and expectations. Astros, listen, the Astros have been very, I think, aggressive at the trade deadline, especially the last few years. But they have depleted some of their minor leaguers, but they still have some talent there. Yankees, how would the Yankees look right now if they hadn't traded Josh Smith as part of the Joey Gallo situation? Either second base or third base probably wouldn't be a problem, or we got a super sub who can play everywhere. I think one of the other guys is doing pretty well as well. I mean, you don't know when you trade prospects. You can't trade a bunch of guys for a middling player, not even middling player like Joey Gallo. And that's where these teams, and especially Yankees, because I've seen it up close for not just 10 years, for 40 plus years, them do the same thing. How did Jay Buhner do? How did Doug Drabeck do? How did I'm trying to think of some other guys. There's so many of them I can't think of them all. I mean, how did these guys do once they got traded away? And the guys we got for them, we did nothing. Nothing. Now, granted, they traded prospects away for guys who did nothing, and the prospects did nothing. Paredes hits around 250. He was at 240 something the other day when I saw it. I like his defense. Preferably at third base. I do like his OP. I think you're talking about 800. But don't get into the 800 plus. Don't get into the crazy. You're talking about OPS? 800? If not, I don't need any. I think that's what you're talking about. Jerome won't get into anything else. But no, listen, I think Brady's a decent player. But to me, he's the same player as Chisholm. I mean, his OPS is around 800. So, again, I like both these guys. I'm just not giving up. I'm not selling the farm to get them. That's my only point here. You can't tell me that this guy. I don't think you can tell. And again, I'm saying this like I dislike Paredes. I don't. I think he'd be a great addition to this team. But his numbers are very close, as I said, to Chisholm, who's 13 homers, 50 RBIs, 730 OPS. He's had as high as 860 in his career, his best year. He has trouble staying on the field. He's had no more than 464 at-bats in a year. But his OPS is 860, 760. This year he got off to a horrendous start, by the way, so I'm going to discount that number a little bit. This will probably be, stays healthy, this will be his he's already played in 101 games, as high as 124. Plus, by the way, he's a better player than Glaber. I mean, I see long term Jazz being the second baseman. Maybe this year, by the way. And again, I like both these guys. That's all. I was just comparing those two guys. And he's 25 years old. Yes. Dead pull hitter would just necessarily help him in Yankee Stadium. Down the line's not horrible. It's not like right field, but you get into those power alleys, they get to be a little deep. He's a nice player. I like his defense better than anything about him. Kenny did play in Shuttleworth with Mike Tooman, Joe Hage, I remember, Bobby Noto. Bob Noto's still playing ball, God bless him. Mike Scraddick and Art Catuno. I remember Artie when Art coached Broad Auburn during my junior and senior years. Kenny. Art didn't like us a lot. I don't know why. Jim B got back to my question. And I think, too, Chris, I hope you saw the answer to your question. I meant to bring that up earlier. Chris F. Grave had a question for Jim Beringer Friday, and we had to tape it. Jim had some commitments on Friday morning, so we recorded it on Wednesday. I know Rick had a question. I did see him answer that, and then I sent him the one that Chris had, and we he responded in the feed to the show. So hopefully you did get that, Chris. And if you didn't, check out the comments there, and if not, I can try to pull it out of there and send it to you. I think the broadcast keeps it on the screen. Okay, cool enough. I think we're back to soccer there, right? Again, my reference goes back like 5 years because I'm not a soccer guy. Everybody watching me knows I'm not a soccer guy. I'm just not. I tell my granddaughter, if she kicks the ball, I'm going to break her. No, I'm just kidding. I don't want to get in any trouble. I scold her, do not kick the ball. Pick it up and throw it to grandpa. Do not kick it. Just kidding. I think I'm going to wrap this up, you guys. I think I hear oh, no, I don't. I thought I heard the rest of the tribe returning. Didn't see the beginning of the show. Thanks for the shout out. Flo, I'm trying to do it at the top of every show. So if it's not there, it's just a general omission by me, and just because my mind works like a soon to be 64-year-old man. So, but we want you back. Everybody is back. So we're going to wrap it up, guys. F4 is affiliated. We have to stop there. Yes. We'd like to start fresh with a new league in the NFL or Yahoo. I don't know. I don't really know what we need to do, CA. Let's leave it for now. And I think we have it early enough. If we think we have a problem, we'll redo it. Winkler will start. Is he injured again? Marte's injured again. Sian Dion was the only redeeming part of the opening ceremony. I agree. She did a nice job. NFL Fantasy is just good setting, better graphics. We're going to wrap it up here, guys. Kenny come out of the socket. A few are saying there's a power struggle on Team USA. Well, you got a bunch of egos and $70 million players all fighting for playing time. They want recognition on the nationals. Or I'm sorry, worldwide stage. I got a couple. I'll try to get to a couple more. There's Mac. Red Sox finished second ahead of the Yankees. Mac, you're going to lose your Yankee card. You took mine away. Now we're going to take yours away. All right, Drew, good to have you with us. Danny, good to have you with us. Kenny, good to have you with us. Drew, oh, no, Danny. All right, guys. All I see you guys saying goodbye to each other, so I'm going to leave. We'll see you next week. Keith Engle, TGI Sports Talk, Sunday Stream of Consciousness. Where'd the sound go? Where'd the music go? Here we go. Keith Engle from TGI Sports Talk, Sunday Stream of Consciousness. We'll see you. Well, we'll be guesting on the Mac and Jack show Wednesday night, and Friday morning we'll be back 101 with Mike Bass, one of the Washington Redskins. Yes, Redskins. Sorry. Cornerback. We'll have a lot of fun with him on Friday morning. And then, of course, we'll be back with the MLB update and Sunday Stream of Consciousness. Have a great weekend, guys. Bye-bye.